Today, Florida Senator Marco Rubio sat down with our Lou Turner to discuss where the country would be if he were president and the ongoing tensions on our nation's border. Here's a part of his discussion, which aired earlier today on First Coast News at noon.
We talked presidential stuff for a minute, of course. But before we get into President Trump specifically and some of his plans, how would the world and the United States be different if Marco Rubio was president?
Well, in many ways, the policies are pretty much what you would have expected from any of the people running, with some maybe different variations here or there. Obviously, the president's an unconventional person in terms of politics. You know, we've never had a president that kind of tweets in the morning and says what he thinks and is in many ways sometimes deliberately provocative in order to make his point. So I think it's unorthodox in that way, but in many ways kind of perfect for the times in which we live. But you know, we're different stylistically, you know, and in the way that we would express ourselves, but on a number of issues. And some maybe not so much. You know, I'm concerned about this early withdrawal from Syria without a plan, because it's just going to empower Iran, Turkey, Russia at our expense, particularly Iran and Hezbollah. And but on other issues like what he's doing, some of the stuff he's doing on trade, I think it's long overdue that we enforce the rules that China agreed to.
Let's talk before we get to trade. I do want to talk about the border move to Mexico, sending National Guard, mobilizing along the border. I think for some, you see that tweeted, you see that reported, and it's jarring a little bit. It feels almost a mobilization of a military force to a border.
Yeah, but,
has that feeling.
But it's not unprecedented. Other presidents have had to do it in the past. We've used the National Guard to respond to emergencies across this country, natural disasters and the like. In this particular instance, we have to understand what's happening. You have a caravan of people that left Honduras that's marching through Mexico, that the Mexican government is basically facilitating their trip with the express purpose of illegally crossing the U.S. border. Now, some of it is symbolic. It's a group that does it every year in order to make a point. The president's point is we are a sovereign country. Every country in the world has immigration rules, and they enforce them. I'm telling you, Mexico enforces its immigration rules on its southern border with Guatemala. There are countries all over the world that enforce their immigration rules, and the United States has a right to do the same thing. So we are a country of immigrants, and there is a process to immigrate in the U.S. That process changes depending on the times in which we live, but we're a nation that admits over 1 million people a year permanently. No other country comes close to that. But we have to have a system and a process, and you can't openly flaunt it. And that's what's happening in this particular instance.